Hello everyone, my name is Pixlriffs and welcome back to the Minecraft Survival Guide. I hope you guys are having a good day. Today, we are going to go out and try and catch ourselves some foxes. We covered foxes quite early after 1.14 came out, but I don't feel like we've spent enough time with them. And I'm going to try my best to tame foxes to the extent that we can tame them today. Now, the foxes aren't meant to be pets, really. They are still meant to be wild animals, but they can be made to trust you a little bit and not run away from you as much as the normal, native, naturally spawned foxes would. And typically this happens by feeding the sweet berries or breeding them, which you need to do with sweet berries anyway. So I've got a bunch of these. I'm going to grab a few more that I have planted around here, around Founder's Forge. And the idea here is that we are going to eventually make a kind of fox sanctuary here, or at least a fox-themed area where we can potentially keep them trapped for a little while until we kind of understand their behavior a little bit better, and then maybe we'll end up letting them out, perhaps to deal with the chicken population, which is growing on the daily thanks to my, my habits of spamming eggs every time I pick them up when I don't want them. So, yeah, we will probably spend a little bit of time with foxes today, getting to know them a little bit better. So I'll gather up as many sweet berries as I have got growing on the paths around here, and I think what I want to do is build a tavern of sorts here in Founder's Forge, because we don't really have anything like that. And of course, a town this bustling with industry is bound to have a tavern, whether it's a place that people can stay or just somewhere people can get a drink after a long day's work. And I would like to build some kind of bar around here in the town. So we're going to do that, and we're going to theme that around the foxes. I think it's probably going to be called like the Fox's Head or something like that. But I think the name is going to be a little bit more literal, and I think there are actually going to be foxes kind of incorporated into it somewhere, whether they are sort of roaming around the structure, whether they're kind of out the back in a pen or something like that. I'm going to try my best to include some foxes actually in it. And that's going to mean heading out to the nearest tiger biome, which is just on the opposite side of Brimstone Castle here. So we're going to head out there where we found the foxes beforehand. Now, in my experience so far, foxes have been a little bit few and far between. And that might be something to do with the fact that we have quite a lot of passive mobs in our spawn area back at the farm building. So I'm thinking potentially what we want to do is take care of some of the passive mobs that we find around here, the bunnies, the pigs, the cows, and so forth, to free up that passive mob cap to allow for foxes to spawn, because as I am up here, I can't really spot any through the trees, and obviously the trees out here are quite dense. But there's a possibility that the cows and sheep we have over there in the barn are actually in the spawn chunks for the world, and that is going to be contributing to the passive mob cap while we're walking around in the overworld, because that's going to stay constantly loaded, and it's going to mean fewer animals spawn elsewhere. So I think what we might do is potentially go back to the barn. If we can't find any foxes quickly now, we might go back to the barn and thin the herd a little bit, trim down the flock of sheep that we have there, because we've got our automatic wool farm that has been doing pretty well for the last little while, and we will try our best to, trim down the amount of animals that are already taking up the passive mob cap to give a greater chance of foxes spawning elsewhere. The other thing to remember, of course, is that foxes are elusive and they don't like to be around players all that much, so we're going to have to be a little bit careful about how we go here. We don't want to spook them too quickly. And it looks like there have definitely been wolves around here, because I'm seeing a lot of mutton and wool lying around, but we don't seem to see any foxes yet. If there are dead chickens around, chances are there might be foxes, but I'm pretty sure foxes and wolves will actually fight each other. They get kind of territorial, so I wonder if maybe we might need to take care of some of the wolves as well, which is something I really don't want to do. But you never know. Before I give up on the search for foxes entirely, I figured I might as well come back here to the last place we saw them, and yes, there is one down there in the trees. This is our hilltop campsite that we made in the episode where we were first exploring foxes, along with campfires and a couple of other things in the new update. And I think our best bet is going to be to quickly hop down here and see if we can spot the foxes that we originally bred down here. So there were a couple of foxes in this area in the first place, and if we have bred one of them and the baby is now grown up or is maybe still around, then chances are we might be able to approach it without it getting too scared of us, because the whole mechanic behind foxes is that the babies, once they have been bred, are not so cautious of humans. And it looks like we've got a few over here, and yeah, it looks like this one might even be one that we've bred before, because it doesn't seem to be running away. Fantastic. We can give you some berries. You can be my friend. And let's see if any of the others will come close as well. This one is definitely our friend. The others are seeming a lot more cautious, but this one right here doesn't care about us at all. It's perfectly content to run around nearby, and I like that. So... oh, it's so cute taking a nap under the tree. It's just like the foxes I have at the end of my garden. But I'm going to try my best to bring a lead over with me, and we can bring one of these foxes back. Because foxes, even if they are scared of players, will actually follow a player if you've got them on a lead. So if these guys can trust us, then chances are we'll be able to lead them back to Founder's Forge. And if we can bring back 2, then that's our chance to start a fox colony. Well, this definitely wins the award for the cutest thing in Minecraft right now. We have our foxes. In fact, we have a little variety in this because there are actually Arctic foxes in the game as well, which is something that I hadn't previously thought about. But yeah, we have 2 variants of foxes. We have these normal red foxes that you will find in regular taiga biomes, and you will find in snowy taiga biomes an Arctic variant, a white variant of these foxes. Now, I was only able to find one of those, but I brought it back and bred it with one of the red foxes, and the baby turned out as a white fox too. So we have a baby here as well, and they've all got various things in their mouths right now. This one is carrying one of the leads that broke as we were bringing it over here. I think that one there has got a rabbit hide because it was killing rabbits in a snowfield when we found it. And this one here is snacking on a dirt block, which I find kind of hilarious. But anyway, these are all leashed up to a fence post here, and thankfully, leads are no longer broken in Minecraft 1.14 in that they will stay attached even if you leave the chunks. Previously, they used to stay attached to a fence while you were still around, but when you left and came back, the lead was broken and they all got away. Now, sometimes you'll see the leads not being there, not like really showing up, but if you log out and log back into your world, you will find that they have reappeared and it's just a visual glitch. So thankfully, those are working as planned, because these foxes have a real tendency to roam around. Now, these ones, as you can see, are not trying to get away from me right now. They are all pretty used to my presence, and that is because I've both been feeding them berries, and some of them are actually the offspring of foxes that I have bred together, and that means that they implicitly trust me right now. So I'm going to quickly go out to the taiga biome, find another fox to very quickly show you exactly how I got these guys over. But bringing them here is a long process. They actually come from a taiga all the way over there, so bringing them back via land is a little bit difficult. And the Arctic one, I even brought back over the ocean using a boat, because, of course, like other mobs, they can be placed in boats, and that was a nice, easy way of getting it over here. But let's quickly head back out to the taiga. I'll try and find another fox for you guys to very quickly demonstrate how this is done. So foxes are a lot like cats or ocelots. They don't like you running right up to them. They will typically run away if you do that, and they can't really be coaxed over by you holding some kind of food in your hand. They tend to run outside of the radius where an animal would normally start to notice food in your hand anyway. So typically what I've been doing is rushing them with a lead, because once you get a lead on them, you can feed them a lot more easily. Once you have a lead on them, they will not knowingly walk outside of the radius where they would break the lead. They might try and strain against it a little bit, because oftentimes you'll find foxes going after chickens, and I had a heck of a time trying to get those foxes back over to Founder's Forge when they were going after every chicken in sight, basically. And they also have a tendency to nap under trees, which is usually a good time to sneak up on them. Sneaking will help a little bit because it lowers the detection range that mobs have of all kinds of mobs, but in this case, this little guy is allowing us to get all the way up to him, and all we need to do is right-click on him with a lead. There we go. And I got up from my sneak very, very quickly there, and he managed to notice us and got away. But you'll notice, even though he is straining against the lead, he isn't really getting out of the radius where the lead is going to break. And so all we need to do is walk up to him on the lead, or tie him to a fence post like the one I have back there, and it should be possible to feed him. Here we go, like so. Nice. Okay, and now we've fed him, he should be a little bit more acclimatized to our presence, and once we get him on a lead, especially if we end up breeding him with another one, chances are he will be a little bit more used to us and will not run away quite so much. Hilly terrain is also kind of useful for this, because you'll find that they stop at the edge of a block before they kind of hop up. They don't tend to run up in one smooth motion, and so that can allow you to chase them down a little bit. Likewise, if there's a river that you can chase them into, mobs move slower in water, and especially if you've got depth strider boots, it's nice and easy to catch up with them. So in the case of these foxes, occasionally chasing them into a river, if there is one nearby and it doesn't have lava flowing down into it, can be pretty useful. And as you can see, once you've fed them some sweet berries, they're actually quite okay with following you on a lead. This one's not running around in the same way that it was earlier. So if we can track down another one, it's a little bit difficult to sprint with a fox on a lead and try and catch another one. But if we've got a fence post handy, which we don't right now, we could always tie this one off to a fence post and go and get the other one. There we go, we've managed to catch up to that one, and if I have these two together, let me take them back to a fence post. Or let's actually take down a tree really fast, because remember, the leads will stay attached to you even if you switch tools. So if I nice and quickly make ourselves a crafting table, like so, we'll turn some of these into sticks, and we'll make ourselves a fence post. There you go, a couple of fence posts prepared, pop one of those down, tie the animals off to it, and then you can feed them berries without the leads breaking, because if you have the lead in your hand and you right click on them, it will take the lead off of them first before it will allow you to feed them berries. But then all you need to do is feed the pair of them berries. They produce some offspring eventually after a little bit of a run around, and then the offspring can also be tied off to the fence post, but it will follow the parents typically anyway. So if the parents both trust you, then the offspring is going to be a little bit more inclined to stick around. And now all three of those could be taken back to our little foxy area over at Founder's Forge. I've already done that, though. I'm going to release these three back into the wild and repopulate the fox population around this area, because we've already got enough foxes over there that I could breed together with sweet berries and get as many as I really want. Now we're back in Founder's Forge, and as you can see, these leads no longer look like they are there, but trust me, they are. The foxes won't wander outside of this radius, and I've even built a little spruce tree for them to nap under, which they are doing quite contentedly at this stage. If you want to get the leads back from them, all you really need to do is toss them some food that they prefer. So let's try giving this one here cooked mutton. I think one of them will probably end up going for that. Yep, the white one has taken it, and that's the young one that's actually grown up now. So looks like that one's enjoying that. Let's see. Yep, okay, he's swapped that for the lead, and the lead has popped out somewhere. I'm not quite sure where that ended up. There we go. Seems to have glitched through the blocks here and there. And then, yeah, if you give them some food, they will quite happily chomp that down. They can even actually eat chorus fruit, and the chorus fruit will teleport them around when they finally eat it, so that's always pretty funny to experiment with. But in the meantime, yeah, we can keep these guys around here. We can breed them with sweet berries if we want to, and we can move on to the build for today. We're going to be working on a tavern-style build out here, and what I really want to do is build a tavern that's got quite a heavy fox theme. For that, I actually want to design a tavern roof that has incorporated into it some acacia wood in the shape of a fox's head. And I think this place, it was originally going to be called the Fox Head, but then somebody in my live stream chat suggested calling it the Fox Den, which I think sounds like a perfect name for a kind of dive bar that workers in this town would end up going after they were finished with a hard day's work in the ravine, doing the mining and drilling and all of the stuff that the folks in this town do. So I think we're going to build a tavern in roughly this sort of location. Somewhere relatively central to town seems appropriate. The foxes are already here, and I think, as usual, we're going to do this in the form of a time-lapse. Welcome back, folks. I hope you enjoyed the time lapse, and I hope you enjoy this build. I will admit the cartoon fox head coming out of the top of it is a little bit silly, but I just wanted something to set it apart from the average build and to make it kind of stand out from the other medieval type of buildings that we've been building around here. I gotta say, this place feels like it's got a little bit more of a clean touch to it than I was expecting from this place, and I think it certainly looks a little bit cleaner than some of the other buildings we built around Founder's Forge. But I like that. I like the idea that they would actually try and keep this place looking a little bit tidy, especially with so many foxes around that have now stolen my scaffolding and are looking like scaffolding vampires or something like that. So what I'm going to do here is I'm actually going to wall these guys in because they have a habit, especially if they spot a chicken, of jumping. They have quite a high leap, and what I want to do is move them all inside so I can remove this tree from the entrance and basically open this whole place up to the public, as it were. Not that there's anybody who's going to be a member of the public visiting this particular world anytime soon, but here we go. This is the inside so far. We don't really have much in the way of decorations yet, but I will do my best to decorate that, possibly even on a stream, or maybe we'll do it as an episode about interior decoration for this kind of thing. Little bit of work to do on the interior ceiling here. And in theory, we could have multiple floors. Oh, there's a stray birch log. Let's quickly scaffold up and get that. But yeah, in theory, we will have multiple floors in here, and some of the upstairs floors could be used for accommodation, if there could be, like, rooms for people. It could even have, like, a nice little upstairs spot where people could tuck themselves away if they wanted to have a quiet drink up there. But we will be able to do plenty with this. In the meantime, though, it's time to get these fellas inside. So let's undo all of the leads and hope that they don't all decide to eat them. Yep, they're running around a fair bit now because that Arctic one is still a little bit frightened of me, but I think once we get them all on the lead, we should be fine here. Yep, we've definitely got a few, though, that have eaten the leads up. Let's see if we can get them all through the door, at least. I tell you what, one thing that has made them increasingly difficult to move around is their habit of sleeping underneath trees, because if they get caught on a block, they don't tend to move much of their own volition. There we go, and now they're getting stuck coming into the door. There we go. Yep, they can hop their way through, and hopefully we should be able to release them to run around in here, at least until we are ready to do a little bit more interior decoration. That guy with the dirt block in his mouth is my absolute favorite. We need to come up with names for these as well, even though I haven't yet named all of the cats. Oh no, I'm sorry. I didn't mean to give you a whack. I'm so sorry. They run around so fast when you do that. I was just trying to make sure I could right-click on you by clearing away the grass. Oh gosh, the little squeaky noise they make as well. Oh man. All right, let's get rid of some of this. Let's be very careful with how we use our tools now. And yet we can sort of drag them around a little bit whilst they are napping like this. I think we might have to take out that tree, but nope, looks like we got one of them through, two of them, and finally that one out there seems to have just broken its lead because it got caught behind the tree over here. Come on, buddy. Come on, buddy. I know you want to nap, but we really need to get you into the tavern. There we go, they're inside now, and once they've got a block above their head, if they feel a little bit safer, and if it is during the day, because we mentioned earlier, foxes are nocturnal, they will just snooze in here for the most part, so we won't have too much trouble with them running around and causing chaos. But now we can take down this custom tree that I built for them and open this tavern up, and we can take a look at it in all its glory. I'm really happy with this build. I really like the way it came together, and I would like to do a few more building projects like this around the town. Really, we just want to get some more residences set up around here because we have so many builds that have like a civic purpose. We've got like the blacksmiths and the blacksmiths guild and the shops and a tavern now. We don't really have that many places for people to live unless everybody lives in Old Town, but I don't think they would. So if we do a little bit more work on the town on live streams and stuff like that, we can keep the episodes a little bit more focused on specific subjects rather than just do a build episode, because I know some of you guys aren't all that interested in building, even though some of you will be. So I'm going to try and keep these episodes focused on interesting mechanics and functionality and stuff that you can build to enhance your survival game. As for the fox's head up there, I like the fact that it looks a little bit more realistic instead of being a copy of the Minecraft fox's face. A lot of people like to do pixel art of the various mobs in the game because if you look at the textures of them, they're all just made up of cubes anyway, so you can kind of approximate what they look like quite easily. But I went for something a little bit more realistic because there are, as I mentioned earlier in the episode, I think, there are foxes that sort of live at the end of my garden. They're not my foxes or anything, like we don't tend to keep foxes as pets in the UK, but they kind of visit my area quite regularly, and I've managed to get a few pictures of them. So a bit of a shameless plug here. If you want to see some pictures of the foxes that live near the bottom of my garden, do check out my Instagram. It's instagram.com/Pixlriffs. I know, shameless plug. And yeah, you might see some pictures of foxes popping up as we see them throughout the year. I've taken quite a lot of photographs of them now, and I find them quite an interesting subject, so that's why I thought they'd make an interesting subject for this episode as well. But I hope you guys enjoyed the build and the time-lapse. That is going to be it for this episode of the Minecraft Survival Guide. Thank you so much for watching. Don't forget to leave a like on the episode if you enjoyed it, subscribe if you want to see more, and I'll see you guys soon. Take care. Bye for now.